Hi, I'm Michelle. Chronic stress and the lifestyle habits that we use to deal with this is the leading cause of all lifestyle related disease and distress. Now, that's a pretty big statement to make. Just let me explain. It's normal to have ups and downs. We all do, and we all feel stressed at times. And this is completely normal. Stress is actually a good thing. It drives us to get things done and it adds a bit of spice to our lives. But chronic stress, on the other hand, stress that just goes on and on and on, that's not so good. So, good stress includes things like stepping out of your comfort zone, taking on something new that's a bit challenging, feeling a bit nervous before you're about to do something, your day to day issues, getting through work and solving problems or pressures to meet a deadline. It's where you get spurred on and you do some hard work and you feel good after it. They're feelings that let us know that we need to change something about our lives and then we can set about doing that, or dealing with unexpected changes and circumstances that crop up for all of us. Chronic stress happens when the stress that we're feeling isn't acted upon and the problem therefore isn't resolved. So the stress keeps happening because you've still got the problem. It includes things where we feel really stuck, and the relaxation response that would normally return us to normal doesn't get to happen, or it happens rarely. In this case, we then start to worry, particularly at 3 o'clock in the morning, when you wake up and it's just going over and over in your mind. And this means that your life's not isn't balanced and your relaxation response isn't happening over a long period of time. So your stress is getting higher and higher and higher. It usually involves more than one issue at a time. So if you're worrying about money, you might be worried about your relationship and the work problems that are causing the financial struggles, for example. And this might be causing you to have a weight issue or a health issue, something else going on. So it's usually compounded, which is can all add up. Our nervous system has three automatic responses, and we need all of them. All of them can be strengthened and triggered, but we can't just turn them off because we don't want them. First one is our sympathetic response, and this is activated to prepare us to escape or fight. You might know it as the flight or fight response. It releases the hormones cortisol and adrenaline and other hormones to prepare us to respond to danger quickly. This increases your heart rate, slows down your digestion and your gut motility to divert the blood to your muscles. It increases your blood pressure and it releases a rush of glucose sugars into your bloodstream so that you can have that quick burst of energy to act. So it'll make you feel like you need to run or move quickly. It also makes you really alert and sensitive to loud noises and sudden movements, but less sensitive to learning or understanding directions or being in a creative flow state. It's meant to be used to make us feel safe and to get us out of danger. Then it should turn off once we are out of danger, and the relaxation or homeostasis should return us back to normal, to a sort of a calm state again. And this brings our body back into balance. The other response to stress or danger is a little less known, and it's called the dorsal vagal response. This is not a relaxation response, but another automatic response to danger or stress. And what it does is it causes us to shut down, to conserve our energy, and disassociate out of our body, to freeze. It numbs and shuts down your thinking and your memory to protect you from overwhelming hurt that could cause you danger. It tends to get activated if you can't or it is too dangerous to escape or fight. Now, this might be from a physical threat, but it can also be something like when you're in an office and there's bullies around you and threats of a deadline, but you can't actually get up and move away from that danger. So you tend to freeze. And what happens is this part of your nervous system doesn't know the difference between emotional, mental, or physical stresses. This is often why people don't escape or fight, they freeze. Remember, this is automatic. You don't get to choose your response to danger. It's a reptilian response. And we may think we know how we will respond in any given situation and think we could actually control our response. But this fails to recognize that this response is like a reflex. It happens in a millisecond. It's automatic. Therefore, there's no point in judging others or ourselves for our responses. Often in prolonged stress, the two responses of fight and flight and the freeze response will tend to oscillate back and forth. And this leads to a heightened state of anxiety and being completely shut down the next minute. So when I say completely shut down, I mean your memory, your thoughts, your ability to act, you just shut down. This can be extremely exhausting. We can't turn off these automatic responses to stresses either, as we are primarily wired to respond to danger. But we can use the third response and strengthen it. The third response being the parasympathetic nervous response. The third nervous system response is the parasympathetic or ventral vagal response. This response is activated when the danger or stressor is over and our body and mind are safe, and the perceived likelihood of more danger is quite low. It returns our body and mind to a more balanced state. It brings feelings of well-being, a feeling of safety and security. We're more tolerant and connected to others. Our heart rate and blood pressure return to normal, and we've hopefully used up all that extra glucose that was released into the bloodstream by the fact that we acted to reduce the stress or danger. We are then able to learn better and problem solve, be more productive and creative. So we're able to do our jobs. We sleep well at night and wake refreshed. Our body can take the time to digest our food as it goes through our systems to get the nutrients that we need, and it can restore and heal as it should. We are meant to be in this state most of the time. We feel good about ourselves and our life, and we're happier the more we are in this state, and we're also more open to new opportunities. The good news is we may not be able to turn off those responses that we have to stress, but we can strengthen this particular parasympathetic response, this relaxation response. And we can also strengthen it so that we can get into it more quickly once our stress response has been activated. However, most people don't actually know how to do this. Or another stressor comes along and then another one and something else, and life just builds up one on top of the other, and we don't actually get enough time in that relaxation response. The other thing that can happen is that your body still perceives that there is extreme danger out there because it's been through something pretty awful, and that the likelihood that this can happen again is quite high. So what it does is it keeps you on a state of chronic alertness, and you don't ever get to really go into that parasympathetic response, or not for long, before any sort of trigger will send you back up into the stress responses. This is what's known as PTSD. In chronic stress, we tend to look for quick fixes or to try and block or stop the responses to stress because they can feel pretty uncomfortable. Nobody wants to feel anxious and stressed all the time. And if you don't know how to strengthen your parasympathetic response, you find yourself doing things perhaps like reaching for more coffee, another drink. You might start smoking. It's all those habits that lead to strengthening habits that aren't perhaps so good for us, like drinking too much, smoking too much, gambling, comfort eating, processed foods, high caffeine consumption, obsessive scrolling and gambling, prescribed and illegal drug use, in particular sleeping tablets that you might become more and more reliant on. All these things are fine in moderation, But it's when we start to rely on them and use them a lot that they affect our health and our lifestyle. It's the combination of the effects of high prolonged stress hormones from being in that stress response all the time, from having high cortisol and high adrenaline circulating around in your body, and the bad habits that we develop to try and prevent those feelings of stress that actually lead to what we call lifestyle diseases. And the lifestyle diseases are your heart disease, your strokes, cancer, diabetes, type 2 diabetes. This is how it comes about. We're actually trying to help ourselves, and it can lead to not being so helpful after all. If this is prolonged and we don't get to feel safe and relaxed, it can also lead to mental health disorders, in particular post-traumatic stress, depression, chronic procrastination, isolation, anxiety, and other addictions. What I'd hope to discuss when I'm doing a lot of these videos is how to strengthen and improve our parasympathetic nervous response so that we have a positive way that we can deal with stress in life and improve our life quite a lot. Hope you stay to listen to my other videos. Thanks for listening to this one. Bye.